Hello, and welcome to another edition of Grown Folks Business. We return on another pretty nice day. Thursday was a little warm, but there was also some overcast, and it felt pretty good out there a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday was perfect though, and I often begin the show talking about the weather, but I think man, yesterday was ideal. I went for a bike ride with a buddy of mine, and we did like 16 miles, and that was probably the first time I've ridden the bike that long and that much. And I don't know how long because I don't want to say years because I'd be really dating myself. And not that I care, it's just a thing, we just don't want to tell. But no, it was perfect day for it. So um, definitely advise you to get outdoors if you can, especially when the weather's like it was yesterday, and enjoy it, man. Enjoy nature. Um, I say all of that to say nature is going to be one of the places that I mention in reference to today's topic. So I wanted to kind of preface the importance of nature to me before we delve into this thing. So tonight's topic is many happy returns. Where do you go, and what do you do that confirms your purpose? So we've talked about this in different ways, and in various ways we discussed the need to go and maybe reset, recalibrate. We've talked about uh, just the desire to go explore and what have you, and what it does for you. But I'm introducing purpose into this equation, and for me, um, again, nature does that, and the confirming of the purpose when I'm out and enjoying nature, it's the purpose attached to my understanding of how little time we have and how much we don't control. So it- going into nature and kind of exploring, looking around and taking walks or riding a bicycle, playing golf, whatever that is, it just kind of grounds me, and it gives me the understanding that whatever I'm doing is worth the contribution to the greater, because there's so much more out there. There's so much that is expansive and may not ever get to I may not ever get to experience, come in contact with, but I know it exists. So in nature, I kind of get that sense that there is something uh bigger at play. And this is kind of where I can go acknowledge that, find a little peace in it, and kind of know that I'm contributing to something greater. So that's kind of how I want to frame our conversation. Understand it doesn't have to be a specific destination, and it doesn't have to be thought of as the return, the happy return being to that place. It can be coming back from that place. So the many happy returns part of the topic is indicative of the going to maybe a familiar place and the return back to where you may be serving your greatest part of your purpose. So keep all of that in mind if you can, and if you can't, we'll just rehash and recalibrate. But want to welcome Jay Dwayne, Lisa, Andre, uh, Danya. I always appreciate you doing what you do. I saved Bob for last for specific reason. He's been out of the loop for quite a while now. So tonight's show is with him in mind, with many happy returns being the topic. Is I think apropos. You've just returned from a long journey. I'll let you tell us more about it. I'm sure it'll play into tonight's topic, and it's it was a return journey for you. And when you think about it, as I've stated, it's a return home as well. So hopefully it was many happy returns, and that might be four altogether or somewhere in there. But there's also some places that you explored that I think are worth sharing in terms of, again, what the topic is. Was there any purpose confirming on that journey? So with all of that being said, welcome, Andre. I'm going to begin with you. Um, do you have specific destinations? Where do you go, and what do you do that confirms your purpose? And as we often do here, Jay Dwayne, he likes to check me for it, but I want you to, go where you need to go on this thing, man. And Jay, I'll be more specific if I need to with you. And I'm giving them a hard time because Jay, glad to see you back, man. It's been a couple weeks, so thanks. Go ahead, Andre.
To be honest, I don't. I don't really have a place per se, like a location, that I go that sort of revitalizes me or brings me back to the person I am. Not like a location wise, but I will say purposefully, I think I do, and I got an opportunity to return to that this week. So what happened is earlier this week, my company asked me about uh, a potential business opportunity in another state. It's a state I used to work in. I know people there, and I spent a couple of years back there many years ago. But long story short, they asked me, "Hey, can you help us build a team to pursue this potential book of work?" So, not going to bore everybody, but why that's important to me, for probably around 15 years, I used to work for a company called Transdev. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's a very large company. We're the largest privately owned transportation company in the world. And one of the things I did for Transdev for many years was acquisitions, mergers, startups, where you actually go in and you build things. And it became part of who I am, even though at the time, Felton, to be honest with you, I started to hate it because it's like all I did. Uh, um, but the last couple of years, I haven't been doing it. I guess I didn't really realize how much I missed it, how going home professionally, if you will, had value to me. So earlier this week, when I was asked to do it, I'll tell you, I've been smiling for the most part every day this week outside the GTEC meeting. Hint, Lisa. But outside of that, I've been smiling ear to ear all week because I've been touching base with people that used to work for me. I've been touching base with people who I'd known in the area to put me down with some good people that may need an opportunity. And I'm building this team, Felton, that we're gonna put forth to hopefully win this book of business and giving people an opportunity in any way. So that to me is my home. That is like me going back to something I care about, revitalizing, reinvigorating Andre with a purpose. So, but no location. But that's my answer.
Yeah. The location is not at all the the primary point here. It is about that purpose, and it sounds like kind of a return to something you thought. Well, you admit that you may not be your favorite thing in the world, but it still gives you that kind of, I know this is critical, and I know how to do it, and I see some benefits with the people that I once was
Hey,
more associated with.
not
Go
to talk
go ahead.
about some other people, but maybe when I was younger, I didn't realize as much as how impactful this is, because giving that person their first shot of being an ops manager or a general manager or a senior manager, and the salary that comes with that, people that may not have gotten the opportunity before. I don't really think when I was younger I really appreciated uh, what that can actually do for somebody, and now I do.
Now, see, that's interesting. So I think you're attaching some of this to what was kind of second nature and required of the position you were in, and later realizing just how much it actually could mean to you, and did mean to you in retrospect. Like immediately it didn't resonate, but later on you're like, wow, you changed somebody's life. You did something um, that was beneficial to them at that point, and it's something to be not a controller of somebody's destiny, but to be able to kind of push the needle or push the scales in their favor, man. That's purposeful, bro. That's extremely purposeful. And even if you don't realize it at the time, I think of a young man that I hired at the YMCA some years ago now. But man, he's doing well, and he's a quality guy. And I kind of like yourself, I'm looking for the best hire, but you kind of realize later that you were important to a better outcome for this individual, not just for that position, but potentially for how their life looks later on. And yeah, I salute that, man. That's purposeful. I dig it. um yeah, absolutely. Jay Dwayne, on the topic, take it where you need to go, or ask me to make it more pointed, but where do you go and what do you do that confirms your purpose? Let me get this comment in. Good evening to all. Ruth be well. Okay, thanks for joining us, Ruth. Nice picture.
I don't think we ever even talked about this, but Love is a Parable is a DBA for my organization. The original name or the main name is actually Altar and Dwelling Place, ALTAR. And it comes from a place that's deeply connected to my faith.
Let me ask you this, Jay, or let me make sure I get this elevated, because I truly appreciate what you do in the spaces that you occupy, and I want to make sure that anybody that's curious about what you're saying when you say DBA, you're doing business as, can you even maybe in this comment take us to why you kind of did that from a business standpoint? But I appreciate you sharing it, man. That's pretty awesome that it has another story to it.
Oh yeah. I started the organization as Altar and Dwelling Place, and it came from more of a faith felt conviction, because a lot of people don't know, like when they read the scriptures or they have these descriptors for the Heavenly Father, like you may have heard people say things like Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi. These were actually physical places where he performed, and an altar was built there in that remembrance. That's symbolic for when events happen in our lives. The reason why altars were built, they were memorials of an event. We now make memorials only for death, but we don't make memorials for when change happens in our lives. Like where was the place where I felt I became a man? Where was the place I felt when this happened and that happened? And so it was designed with that mindset to help people find those altars in their lives that change the direction of their lives. And so one of those first steps was the initiative, Love is a Parable, meaning let's go out here and just do good so people can feel good to find them again. And then Love is a Parable became a movement. And then we're like, oh, we got to make this thing a little bit more official. So we actually made it a DBA for the name. So it's synonymous with Altar and Dwelling Place, because Love is a Parable is now more than an initiative, more than a movement. It is the breadth of what we do. But to that very point, my business is a reminder to not forget who I am, whose I am, and what I am purposed and called to do. So I have different altars that I build in my life. And one of them is, like you talk about nature, I have to return to water. I have to surround myself by water. I got to hear water. Y'all don't even hear the water white noise right now, but it's a water white noise playing right now because it calms me and it gives me peace. So I return to that frequently because it is something for cleansing, but it's also something for renewal. It also is something for replenishment. And it just provides several different qualities for me. So I always have to be near water. Matter of fact, it's a ravine in my backyard. And I just look out the window to just see the water, because water just gives me peace and letting me know whatever I'm going through, it won't be dirty always. It won't be yucky always. But not only is it going to be, it's an opportunity to be cleansed, but it's an opportunity to be renewed and refreshed. And then the second one, I'm more like Andre. I have to create something every day, or I feel like I'm dead. I was created to create. So I have to create something every day in one way or another, or I feel like I'm outside of my purpose. That's it.
Nah, that's well stated, and I had no clue that this topic would resonate in the way that it has, because I think the way you articulated it, man, it's purpose is critical to almost everything you do, if not everything you do. I think you kind of describing somebody who literally it may limit certain things and obligations based on whether they're purposeful or not. That's pretty deep, man. And the altar, the way you unpack the idea of altars, I get that resonates heavily. I'm someone also who I don't mind going to the graveyard, and I mean that literally. I don't mind going to visit loved ones and find some, connectivity to understanding again how finite we are. That's still nature, but also, being in proximity to someone who you care dearly for, and as close as you're going to be to them in a physical way, in the totality of the physical sense. But that I have thought about that as altar leaning in the way that we decided to start honoring our dead at some point in human history. But yeah, you and I have to talk more about the understanding that altars existed for purposes that are more centered on the here and now. That's good, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that share. Lisa, coming to you. Many happy returns. Where do you go and what do you do that confirms your purpose? I know I'm gonna hear some good stuff right here, so let's hear it.
No, don't set me up for failure already. I'm too sensitive for that. I love it, and I love that that Andre and Jay Dwayne went before me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, which way do I go? Because what's interesting is that I have a really so to talk about a physical space, I have a really nicely situated home, and I have some peaceful spaces and places that I could retreat to, whether outside or inside. Yet I don't. For some reason, if I'm here, I find work to do. And because there's always something to do. So I have had to prioritize checking out. And especially now that I've gotten really entrenched in the community work, it is, it can be really heavy to see so much need. And especially for those of us who subscribe to Jay's philosophy that love is a parable, like showing love. How can I help this person? How can I help that person? Just loving on people. It does become taxing. So I have decided to commit to checking out by going to a place. And we've already talked about this. Thank you, Felton, for joining me for my birthday at that special place, the Well of Mercy, where you're kind of forced to disconnect because phones don't work too good out there anyway, and there's no TVs, there's no radios. I happen to have had to retreat there this past weekend, but I only went for one day, and I almost didn't go because so much stuff was happening within the organization that only I could make decisions about. And they were it's some really sensitive stuff, and it's really heavy stuff. And so I was supposed to went on Friday, but I could not go on Friday. And then my body has actually been keeping the score with the stuff that I'm dealing with. I've been in more pain in this last week than I've been in all year. Physically, my back, my hips, and it's like, oh my gosh. To such point that I have had to depend on my pharmaceutical prescriptions. And everybody here know how much I hate that. But I contacted the Well, and they have like this policy, a 2-day minimum. And I said, look, just please let me come tomorrow. I really need to come tomorrow. I know it's only one day, but I really need to be able to check out. And they talked to the people they need to talk to and called me back and said, yeah, we'll let you come. And I got there, I'm telling you, at 8:30 in the morning. And it really felt like it was longer, but Felton knows it's a lot of nature, trees, trails, a whole lot of stuff that you can commune with nature. Yet I slept, and I would wake up, go eat a little bit, then come back, take some pain meds, and go back to sleep. The thing is that even though I'm in pain or have been in pain, and I have that opportunity here, I would not have done it here. And I really needed it. I needed to be able to check out, to take care of this vessel. And then I kind of felt guilty though, because I'm like, man, I don't have to spend $110 to do this, yet I did. So I value my space here, and I've set it up that it could be a place of retreat, yet to have that option to disconnect, and especially when so many people depend on you to show up for them as well as yourself, it's like this balance of how much do I give? And girl, it's okay to give to you a little bit, and the world is still gonna fall apart, whether you're here or not here. And so I appreciate this topic. And so then metaphorically, I am revived and rejuvenated by knowing I am doing the work based on my purpose. So I am purpose to help people. I am purpose to be able to connect people to things. And it's like I don't even have to think about it. If I hear about something that's great, man, I'm on the phone, I'm texting, I'm shouting it from the rooftops. And that's purpose. Like that, it's not something you have to work for. So to Andre's point about what he just naturally does or enjoys doing, even though it can be taxing, that purposed work is the place that finds you a home, but balancing that. So I appreciate this topic. It's fantastic and right on time.
Well, I appreciate that, Lisa. Appreciate the fact that you're here to share, because that was, I think we discussed the Well of Mercy in another episode in a different way, and that's what that purpose part here now I think kind of reframes it. And yeah, you take on a lot with what you're involved in at this point, and you have to go somewhere to as we discussed, recalibrate, but it also is attached to the purposefulness that you exude in your activities. So I'm appreciative, and I want to share this aspect of that I think is related to the topic of confirming your purpose. Relationships for me, this space here, people that I associate with, people that I have meaningful interactions with, those big conversations and things of that nature, that is attached to the where do I go and how do I ascribe that to confirming my purpose as well. And that thing of connecting other like-minded folks. Bob and I kind of brought this up the Monday. We were doing a tour of the museum, or doing a discussion at the museum with some students, and it was a wonderful interaction. That was purposeful, but you don't get that without some of the networking and connection with others that takes place. And like almost within a 2-day time period, I connected Lisa with someone that she desired to have a more robust interaction with. And I connected another friend, Ajane, who's joined us in this space, and with Marsha, who's joined us in this space. It's been a while, but Marsha's been in this space, and those two explored Alabama a little bit together for some work that Ajane's doing, and that's purposeful to me. But those are relational interactions that are substantive, and it doesn't require me to go anywhere other than the place that is meaningful in that relationship when I'm in discussion and when I'm thinking of that person. So yeah, this is definitely not necessarily a physical place, Andre, and I think that's what's coming out here. Bob, you got some things to catch us up on. It's been too long. Glad to have you back, but you can take it where you need to go in terms of what you've done recently, or maybe it doesn't even apply in the way that I'm bringing it out. But happy returns. Make that part clear. Happy returns. And where do you go and what do you do that confirms your purpose, man?
Let me first of all say that of all the things that I might have missed while I was gone, I actually did in fact miss this. And because this is a weekly something that I greatly value, the interaction and the thought and the whatnot that is prompted by these discussions, and the feeling of community that I have as a part of this discussion group, and so forth and so forth. And so this was something that I did in fact miss, and it was I thought about it every Thursday, and of course my Thursdays were 7 hours forward from your Thursdays, but be that as it may, something that really comes to my mind as I listen to everyone talk about this is I think that we are seasonal people. I think that people are seasonal. And what I mean by that is what you find as purpose when you're pre-college, in college, in your 20s, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a working person, as a later working person, what you find that's a part of your life or part or your world that gives you purpose or that is your purpose, it shifts, it changes. And I think that we have to embrace that. And I think that sometimes we go through phases where we struggle to find what that purpose is. Sometimes necessity drives us to it. Sometimes we don't have a choice. We've done something that causes our purpose to be what our purpose is, and we can't escape it. We have to embrace it. We have to pursue it. Sometimes we do that with reluctance, and sometimes we do that with joy. But I think that we nonetheless do it. I'm not sure that our purpose is any less when we do it out of obligation than when we do it out of joy, depending upon what it might be. And an example of that I think makes clear what I'm talking about is parenting. You know, when you have children, you got to be a parent. You may not want to be, but you got to be. You may want to be, but whether you want to be or not is beside the point. Really, you've got to be, and you can either engage that or neglect that, but it doesn't change what your obligation is. It doesn't change what your purpose is. For me, I happen to embrace it as being a parent. And for me, being a parent was as natural and as energizing and as anything could imaginable. And I think that's something else that kind of tells us when we find we are living our purpose, and that is when we feel energized by it, when we feel passion, when we feel the energy to keep at it and go after it and feel rewarded for it. Andre talked about a work-related situation. I call it a work-related situation. It really isn't. It is, but it isn't. It's work-related because it's work-related, but it isn't because he was doing something that created opportunity for others that he realized he could do, and it was life-changing for others, and it was something that he could make happen. And if he weren't there to make that happen, what would have been different? What would nobody necessarily would have noticed anything different, but because he was there, they did notice something different, and it was a wonderful thing. And he found energy in it, he found purpose in it, he found a reason to be there in it. And I think that some of us have had that opportunity with work. Some of us have had that opportunity with different things we've done. Felton, you talk about your time at the Y. You reference that oftentimes. And I have to believe it's because there was something that happened during that time that gave you a sense of value, a sense of doing good work. And I say that because I hear you talk about it. I see you talk about it. I feel you talk about it. And it comes up time and time again. It's something that you reflect on. It's something that you reference. And Lisa has a renewed sense of life about stuff she's doing. Where does that come from? It's because she's found a rhythm. She's found a place where she has energy that moves her through the pain that she might feel, that enables her to work through that pain, whether it takes a pill or not a pill, or whether it takes a visit to a special place or not a special place. But she figures it out. She finds it and she does it and she moves through it and she does what she needs to do. And I think that that's what happens with us. We have different seasons and we have different things that tell us this is something This is something that I should be doing. You know, you mentioned our get together Tuesday. You know, one of the things about connecting the dots, I call it connecting the dots, meeting people, introducing people, facilitating connections. Part of our challenge as, I'm going to say, Americans, might be because just we're people, but I think it's because we're Americans, is that we sometimes want to bite off more than we need to bite off more than we ought to bite off. You know, making connections, if that's something we can do, and if it makes sense, it's something we have an obligation to do, I think. But we need to leave the consequences alone. The consequences aren't necessarily ours to have. You know, it may be that making the connection is what we can do. The consequences are the consequences. You know, when I was in Africa, in Tanzania last month, I invited a young man from Zimbabwe to come to Tanzania to meet the founder of an art gallery in Arusha. I couldn't control whether or not the gallerist would agree to represent this artist, but I knew the artist and I knew the gallerist, and I could make the connection. I could establish a meeting. I could make that happen. I could get the artist from Zimbabwe to Tanzania, and I could make them, I could have them meet. I couldn't control the outcome. The outcome is what the outcome is. It's between two other people. It's not mine to own. But what I know is if I'd not made the connection, nothing would have happened. Just like we were talking about Andre earlier. If he hadn't done what he did, nothing would have happened. But he did what he could do. And so see what happened. And so, you know, I think part of this whole thing about purpose and part of this whole thing about where do we go, again, it's seasonal, and it's a function of discovery. It's a function of energy, and it's a function of recognizing, okay, where is our privilege? Where is our power? What can we do? And I don't know, maybe this isn't it, but you know, if you don't try, it won't be it. And so sometimes you just try. Sometimes you just go. Sometimes you just do because you can. And you know, if you don't do anything, nothing good's going to come from it.
Yeah, I think the latter part of what you said of just, hey, try. Don't just restrict yourself from something that could be potentially confirming of whatever you're trying to accomplish, serving some purpose that is outside of yourself and could provide that wonderful sensation of actually being connected to others in a dynamic way. So yeah, I think what you did in Africa was a wonderful gesture, and that guy's so talented. I just think the sky's the limit for whatever may come. But again, the role you play in that serves a purpose and is a part of your purposefulness. It is within your common sense gesture of just doing it, like you said. Just, you know, why not try? Hey, you don't know if anything comes of it, but you know absolutely nothing comes of it if you don't even participate in it. So yeah, wonderful comments. Good to have you back. Jay Dwayne, what do you consider purpose disruptors? And I know you got some comments on that, and that's it's not a question you really need to prepare for, but I'm sure it's something that's going to be triggered in thinking about that. And just to give you an extra second, I know time, the lack of it is a purpose disruptor sometimes, because you don't have enough of it. You're going to run out. You're going to be pressed for it. You're going to be chasing more. So there's that time is definitely one of those for me. But what do you consider a purpose disruptor, Jay?
That's a great question. The funny thing is, Bob brought up it was like a triggering discussion. I had the same discussion with a friend Me and her are really great friends. She's a life coach. And she's more aligned with Bob. She believes that your purpose changes throughout life. And I actually don't think your purpose changes. I think we find ways throughout life to fulfill that purpose in different ways. I think uneasiness and disruption happens in our lives when we're not aligned with what we were organically created to be. And oftentimes we confuse priorities with purpose. You're like, well, I got to do it. Either I like it or I don't. But your purpose, it's that thing that finds its way to perform in your life, whether you want to do it or not. And that's just my belief. But she's a life coach and she teaches people how to find their many different purposes. And I just thought about that conversation that she and I had about it. But I think purpose disruptors are those things that come as the illusion of fulfillment. Cordell and I have this conversation. We call them beautiful distractions. It's that thing that comes into your life and you're like, oh, I want this. Sometimes it's a mate, sometimes it's a sale. Sometimes it's so many different things that it could be, but they come under the illusion of enjoyment, fulfillment, or I need it, like some type of desire. And a lot of times when you indulge in whatever that is, it forces you to deviate more from your purpose. It's like, I'm traveling to Greensboro. How in the world did I end up in Rocky Mount? It's because you found that beautiful distraction and you're like, oh, I'm going to go look at this, or I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to do that. And before you know it, you're like, oh, now I'm an hour away. So, and it comes as then another illusion, like, dog, I wish I had more time. And time wasn't the issue. It was that I was distracted by whatever this beautifulness was that disillusioned me of my reality in that moment. And I think that they vary on person to person, exhaust level, and also where a person is in their journey, whether they feel fulfilled in their purpose, whether they have found their purpose, or whether they're distracted by something else like responsibilities and priorities. And I think that that's when they are heightened. They come in those moments when we're most weakened because it's easy for us to be distracted. And then the desire to consume low-hanging fruit or fruit that's on the ground is rotten, but for some strange reason we're like, this is easier, so we'll consume of these rotten fruit or these low-hanging fruits in whatever area of our lives. And then what happens? We get sick because, still in Lisa, we've been eating trash. And then we'll say it's the fruit that was the problem, but no, it was the trash that you was consuming that came in a form of paradise.
Wow, wonderful comments as always, Jay. And I think that it's critically important that we do, and this plays into other conversations we had in terms of that reflection, because there's a repetitiveness and something that becomes a habit of contributing is what I'll say you're alluding to, you're mentioning, contributing to purpose disruption. You're taking moments that only are providing this temporary sensation, while that purpose still remains easily visible and potentially a clear path that you need to explore. But like you say, the beautiful distractions, they're lurking. They can't wait to jump out. So yeah, man, wonderful comments. Lisa, what do you consider purposeful or purpose disruptors? What do you consider purpose disruptors? Now, Lisa has been, she don't sit that long she's froze. So Lisa may get back in with us. She's sounding like she's having some issues. Andre, I'm coming to you. What do you consider purpose disruptor?
So Felton, I can't remember how you phrased the topic. It was maybe a month or so ago, maybe a little longer. I don't think so though. But one of our discussions, we talked about silence or lack thereof. Oh my God, Thornton, I can't remember, but I remember what I said, and this is getting to my answer to your question. A purpose disruptor for me is, I think when we were talking about that other topic back then, I said that my mind's always going. I don't have a quiet place. There's so, for the most part, and most of the time, so many things are going at once in the different directions that that if I'm not careful, it can cause me to lose purpose. If not losing like completion, like I'll reach and I'll start something else, and then I'm doing this and this over here, and sometimes I just don't stay put to see the whole thing through to the end. So when I take a look back 2 or 3 days later, it sometimes it feels like I wasted my time because the task is not completed, and I got to understand that sometimes that's not the end of all. There's more to it than just saying a finish tag on it. But so that's probably my number one, what I would consider a purpose disruptor. That sometimes it's juggling and trying to do too many things, and not having enough time to do all the things that I'm trying to get done in the day, to the extent that I really would like to focus on them. It'd be my answer.
Nah, good observation as well. I think I was thinking when Jay was mentioning that, and you, Andre, you're right in line with what he was saying. Some of the distractions can come from inside of us. Again, that's just the notions we have to disrupt our own purposefulness. And I was thinking of you remember the cartoons when two characters may get into a fight and it just becomes this big cloud of dust, and you see arms and legs flying and out of the dust. And that's I think some kind of internal disruption. And the show that you mentioned was The Noise of Silence. What do you hear when there's no distractions? But yeah, if you got something going on all the time, and you can kind of lose some focus. And one of the ways I thought to test that, and this also came to mind when Jay was mentioning the life coach. When there's something that that you want to accomplish, you need to accomplish, that becomes a part of your purpose. In the case of someone who writes, or you have creative ideas, one of the practices that I was told of many years ago, and that I still highlight as addressing that, Andre, to a high degree, is you write down that idea and you put it in a drawer, dresser drawer, whatever, and you just try to leave it there and see if you forget about it. But if you can't stop thinking about that, and you know where it's at, and it keeps calling you, then that is attached to some level of purposefulness. It's calling you for a particular reason, and it's something that you need to go and finish doing. Lisa, it looks like you're back. Are you? Okay. So coming to you, what are your purpose disruptors?
Somebody apparently killing the internet or something over here. Like, and then I'm going to other devices.
They disrupting you. They disrupting you, Lisa.
Yes. And I was like, daggone it, I shall not be moved. So as I was hearing pieces of what Jay Dwayne was saying, I see the distractions, right, being pulled all over the place, and not staying focused. And I have been victim of that, of my own making, okay, but not really staying focused on what is my true purpose, because you can be great at a lot of things, but to the point, what is the purpose? And I think one of the terms, and you can help me out here because you're an academic, is a best use philosophy. Like, what is the best use of my talent? So I could set my iPad up, set up a new iPad, right? But because I've got some people working with me now, technically working for me, that cannot do what only I can do, My best use is to get them to set up the iPad while I go out here and try to get more money, right? So the distractions, though, are that, oh, I know how to do it. And, it takes some time to do that. But, and that's where I've been. And I'm not going to use your term that you use, but being pulled on and then going all over here and going over there and going over there. I now that, and I'm a believer, so now I'm better equipped to understand that these are tactics that the enemy wants to keep me from walking in my purpose and actually using the gifts and talents that I've been endowed with to better serve God's people with, versus letting someone else do what it is they can do and I can do, but giving me the freedom to do what only I can do, because my purpose is my purpose. So I look at the distractions. So just like Jay said, and the thing is, sometimes the options are not good or bad, is better or best, right? Better or best. And then I am trying to really focus on the purpose work. So sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times other people will try to determine that for you, or try to impose their thoughts as to what you should do. And I feel like I got a little deja vu right now. I think I said this on three or four shows ago. That's a distraction too, that you're like, oh, well, maybe, question yourself or whatever. So really this purpose thing is serious, to really understand, well, what you do is what you do. What I do is what I do. So me working with Andre there, on the transit, with the transit system here, my purpose is not just to sit on this transit commission. My purpose is to be able to connect people to opportunities that they might not be able to have otherwise. So if someone calls me for something, then I'm able to call Andre, who's more learned and specialized in certain things. So when someone tries to indoctrinate me with their ideas of what works for them and what should work for me, I have to be secure in understanding what my purpose is. So to Bob's point, thank you, Bob. You articulated it so well, that this purpose-driven work of mine, it means so much to me that I will push past some pain. I mean, I'm looking at my watch now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pay for this 15,000 steps as a differently able person today. But going to the new ED's reception for the Housing Coalition, that matters because I got people asking me about housing. Then after that, going to a Juvenile Crime Prevention Council meeting for 2 hours. That matters because there are people asking me, well, how can we do something about the crime in the community? Then going to the GTA Rider Appreciation event and doing the Cupid Shuffle out there with some of our riders. Yeah. And I hadn't popped the pill yet, but this show mattered to me, so I couldn't pop the pill or else I'd be asleep. But this is the purpose work. And that means so much to me that I'll push past, okay, whatever. Thank you, Bob. I really appreciated you articulating that, because I had to receive that yeah, he's right. Because that really, it does rejuvenate me, and it makes, I was not disturbed at all. We was moving from here to here to here to here, because I was really, I'm better able now because of the all of you give me so much encouragement, and your level of intelligence just, oh man, I get so much from here. I'm able to better discern what's a distraction and what is my purpose work. So as I've given you all kudos for me being able to have some focus moments tonight, thank you for this show again. And you guys encouraging me, and I'm not going to steal it. I'm going to give you credit for whatever I say that you have said to me tonight as I talk about this in community.
I appreciate you as always, Lisa. Yeah, the delegating responsibilities is in there somewhere with what you're saying, but also working to your strengths and knowing when you can kind of get that out of your purview and trust that it's going to be done in the way that you would appreciate the most. That's what I think one of the attributes of being a good leader is trusting the folks that you have behind you to do what the tasks are that make everybody get to where the purpose, get to what the purpose is of what the endeavor is. So yeah, great comments. Thank you, Bob. Give me a couple of your purpose disruptors if you can, and go where you need to go. And then I have one final question to run through the space with.
Okay, so anything can be a purpose disruptor. Anything, literally anything. Perhaps ego is the biggest purpose disruptor. And Jay Dwayne, as always, spoke of responsibility versus purpose, blah blah blah. We have to do this dance. We have our responsibilities, and we have our objectives, and we have our purpose. Whatever we live this dance between responsibilities and purpose and lust and desire and pleasure and obligation, and we've got this dance that we all have to dance and figure out for ourselves. And how do we sort out which is what and which is which, and so forth and so forth? And do we fail our responsibilities in order to pursue our purpose? How do we live this thing that really is the thing we call life, that we end up looking back on and going, oh, did I do it or did I not? How did I do it? Give me a grade on this. I think the ego is possibly the biggest disruptor, because if you look at black and white, good and bad, evil, righteousness, whatever that is, we have this thing that says the devil's always trying to keep us from doing the things we're supposed to do. How does he best appeal to that? And so we think about, oh, it makes us feel good. It makes us, oh, we're getting recognition, we're getting acknowledgement, we're getting this, we're getting that, and we're getting all this stuff that gives us positive receptors, and it makes us feel like we all, quite frankly, right now could be full of shit, and we just think we're not, right? And part of it is because we are balancing each other. We are balancing each other in this space and in other spaces. And just like you did with me, Felton, the other day after Tuesday, you made some comments to me. It's like, hadn't thought about that. But you made some observations about our get together on Tuesday. And okay, and I trust you. I hear that. Go, interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. And that's part of what we have to do. We have to be vulnerable. We have to take our ego away. We have to trust. We have to care. We have to love. Love is a parable. Love is more than a parable. Love is everything. Love is what we have. At the end of the day, that's where we have to sit. And if we can, we're lucky. If we can't, then we got to figure something else out, because that's at the end of the day. It's not about ego. It's not about gratification. It's about honesty. It's about truth. It's about love. And somehow we've got to find for ourselves that space where we can trust and believe and not validate, but it's not about the mirror. It's about something else. And it's because we can look in the mirror and we can get all this good stuff. And you can look at, and Felton, your favorite topic, the media, look at all the people that are showing up in Fulton County today, getting their mugshots taken. These people do not think they're not living their purpose. They think they're living their purpose. And they're getting their mugshots taken today. And all of us have our different hopes and dreams about what's going to come from that, right? And it's not the same. It's not the same. What you want, well, you and I know some of us want the same, but we don't want the same. People don't want the same in this country. And so some people see that differently. And anyway, long answer to a simple question.
So that's more than okay here, and you know that. So man, we're going to get out of here, but I want to run around the room. So quick, brief answer if you can. It's storming over here, and I don't want to lose connection. But do you believe that life is a journey, and why? And it has to be quick and succinct. So yes, I do. And I think my why to understanding that life is a journey is because I make it one. I think you have to really make the decision to make life a journey. So don't steal my answer if you don't have to. You can come up with your own. But Jay, is life a journey, and why?
Yes, I do believe life is a journey, and it's because my faith is very important to me, and I believe we're spirit first, and I believe that we're just spirit beings on this human journey, and there's more to experience after we leave this shell.
Awesome. Andre, is life a journey, and why?
Yes, because Lisa claimed she did the Cupid shuffle today, so I'm gonna have to get video.
I don't know how that connects, but I'm gonna make it okay. Lisa, is life a journey, and why?
Life is a journey because of the if then that. Because you can't account for things, so you have to. If this happens, then that happens. So it's always going to be something you can't account for. So it's a journey.
Love it, Bob. Life is a journey. Why?
Yes, because we always have choice. We're not directed. We have choice.
Dig it. Hey, glad to have you back, Bob, Lisa, Andre, Jay. Always a pleasure. Glad you guys could make it. Nothing like it, man. Nothing like spending the time, sharing the time. This is definitely a part of my purpose. Danya, thanks for keeping us live. Like I said, it's storming over here, and we made it through. You all have a wonderful night. Take good care. And Ruth, glad you could join us. Glad. Thank you for the comments and the compliments. Y'all take care. Have a good night.